Hello and welcome to LegicCast. My name is Brian Crossguard here with Josh Olsowich. Hey Josh, how you doing?
Mr. Brian, good to see you. Good to be with you. You dug down deep there, and
I dug.
I don't want to say baritone, but
I did. It was unintentional, so maybe it's just the after effects of having COVID. My voice is lost an octave. I don't know. How are you doing?
good. Markets are semi-recovering.
Yeah, I'm maybe a little wall of worry action.
I don't know about wall of worry, but
Something.
like we've stopped the bleeding at least. Like the companies exploding, the hedge funds exploding. That seems to have quieted down for now.
Yeah, we.
There's still some like ancillary smaller businesses that I'm not even going to mention or talk about or give airtime that already had iffy business practices and are of course under duress here because that's kind of their MO. So that's not surprising to me.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing some cleanup on aisle three. FTX came in and offered a couple of businesses lines of credit or investment, kind of different backstops. I think it was BlockFi that said it went from a $250 million line of credit to now they're potentially taking a stake in BlockFi outright. And then Voyager, I think they're doing something with. And then we're seeing some fallout from funds that 3AC lent money to. I think Keeper Network, 3AC had a bit of their treasury portfolio, and I heard maybe a Korean entity had not really hit the newswire yet about being affected, but it's likely affected by the 3AC side of things. It's just amazing.
I saw Kyber too.
Yeah, that was KNC.
Okay.
I did the token name.
Gotcha.
It's amazing, man. It seems like they just really pulled the wool over all of our eyes. And like they were operating in an unsafe manner before they got underwater. And then when they got underwater, they got worse. But they may have been illegally borrowing against the same collateral in order to leverage up harder well before they actually got in trouble. Is at least what it kind of seems like between the lines. And then as they got desperate, they did dumber things. It's stunning, but even that was kind of uncovered thanks to the Terra Luna thing. So it really is the ripple effects as they get discovered. The weakest and kind of worst in the room start to become exposed. And like you said, it looks like maybe we're seeing some of the last of that.
Well, we all need to wake up and I got guys messaging me about their exposure to certain crypto lending products that seemingly were fine even today. If you said, "Oh, 1% on BTC or ETH," like that's very low. That sounds fine, right? I don't want to say not your keys, not your coins to like mock these people, but these people know as well. They've heard it. They've been in the business for a while. They've been in crypto a while. Like they know. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Everybody thinks they know better, but that's why we talk about segregating wallets, segregating your trading wallet from your cold storage, just not trading at all, right? Like you don't have to do everything. You don't have to put all your money in one place. You can only say this so many times to people,
Never been a better time to Horcrux method yourself.
I would, yeah. I mean, just pull if there's anything on any exchange you're not using, just pull it off. Like it's super cheap to transact right now. Get a hardware wallet and figure it out. Like now's the time because you don't want to be this person next cycle who listen to this or listen to everybody else telling you to do the right thing, and everybody's just kind of lazy. Like I get it, I know how it is. And you just leave your stuff on places.
My personal preference is a blend. Like I think you're maybe like a couple of different hardware wallets, not addresses on one hardware wallet, different hardware wallets. Maybe even where you maintain the custody of those keys in different places. Like if you have, a friend's house and a grandma's house and a safety deposit box, you can split your keys up into 3 pieces and put them in each of them, that kind of thing. Or you can have one home and office or something like that. Or in addition to that, you can have some on hardware wallet, some on one trusted exchange, some on another trusted exchange. But trusted exchanges mean different things. I think really the only thing you can do for now is go by track record. So I'm obviously a fan of FTX. I think Coinbase is relatively safe. Kraken is safe. Gemini is pretty safe. All these are kind of your American versions. I don't personally have a lot of comfort outside of that list in terms of where to maintain custodied coins.
But that's not even to say, like, if any of those entities, if there was a story like tomorrow morning that somebody had to close withdrawals, blah blah blah, restructuring, like that would not surprise me. No matter Coinbase, Kraken, I don't care who it is. Like, you have to realize that this is a possibility.
Yeah, but it would surprise me from those entities, and that's why I wouldn't.
Of course, but I'm not even saying like in this market condition wouldn't be a. I'm just saying in general, like. I lived through Mt. Gox, people. Okay, so like it's like living through the Great Depression. You know, you've seen the worst imaginable, and so you like tighten your belt a little bit, and you figure out how to do things a little bit better. So for people who are a little bit newer and who are like, "Oh, I'm fine. I don't need a hardware wallet, man. Hardware wallets are expensive. They're like $50."
Yeah, but
just save it.
Okay, I hear you, and I agree with you. I think most people have a higher likelihood of losing their coins with a hardware wallet than with a trusted exchange. And if they're going to use one trusted exchange, I would probably use multiple and a hardware wallet. Like the likelihood that you lose all your money when you are spread out amongst 4 or 5 different places is very low. And you can adapt to evolving conditions if one of them has big problems. The likelihood that all tokens are freezed, say on FTX, Kraken, Coinbase, Gemini, all at the same time, very, very low.
Of course, as long as you know the risks, right? Like if you keep it all in MetaMask, I don't care what people do, but just know that certain things have certain risks and certain threats that are more likely than not. That's all I'm saying.
That's fine. I think 2 or 3 hardware wallets and then 2 or 3 exchanges is a nice Horcrux diversification idea. Personally,
you also don't want to get too cute with it and end up like accidentally throwing it in a dumpster and being in like a Daily Mail article that you're digging through the local town dump, you know?
Exactly my point. Like, and a lot of people could do that if they won't know how to self-custody very well. So don't lose it all.
That's my scared straight talk for today.
If one of your Horcrux plans goes bust, you still have, 75 or 80% of your coins. And
because we don't know, like you said, what's going on in the back end of the books for these companies. Any of them, right? Like that's the private ledger.
And I personally would not treat any of the lenders, like outright lenders, as one of my Horcrux methods, like BlockFi, or like Celsius is a good example of that. I think they are the most likely to be crunched. We have seen one of our first exchanges, I think it was CoinFlex, that paused withdrawals. But the big major American exchanges, I would not personally be worried.
Yeah, someone's asking me about MetaMask. I'm just saying, look, everything has a risk. Everything is attackable. You have stories about MetaMask and things getting stolen off MetaMask because people are clicking random buttons, right? Like,
I would not
just be aware, okay?
Not use MetaMask without a hardware wallet.
I'm just saying.
You can use MetaMask as an interface. It can be your wallet, but your wallet should still be your hardware wallet, even when you're operating on MetaMask. Let's go ahead and get this off our chest because it drives me freaking crazy when people say like, "Oh, I have my like NFT trading wallet and I have my vault," and their vault is their hardware wallet. Your trading wallet can also be a hardware wallet. You moron! Like it does. Hard. It is not. You go click, confirm. Okay, that's literally all you do. That's all you do to maintain better security. And when people complain about losing their freaking NFTs because it was on a hot wallet, I have no sympathy, none.
That's
keeping your private keys and your entire wallet on desktop infrastructure is stupid. It's not like it's free. Having a wallet, a hardware wallet in your possession is just a free physical 2FA functionality. Do not use a hot wallet. Okay. Good job. All right. Glad we got that taken care of.
I agree with you, definitely. And this is a question about like family custody of coins. Yeah, there might be a little education that you need to do in there and put places in lock boxes and whatever else, fireproof storage, IRL, right? Like you may need to leave crumbs for people if that's a concern, but
you can't don't do it in a way that like you won't be able to manage. And that if you're gone, your loved ones can't manage. But also be careful about it. Go about your cold storage with a plan. Like if you just YOLO it, you'll lose it even faster than an exchange will lose it.
Yeah, you have to have intent.
Not that anybody has any net worth to put on any of these wallets anyway, because look at the market. Look at this chart.
Look, if you don't look at the total value of anything, like I've just ignored.
One Bitcoin is one Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, again, if you've been here a while, if you've been through a few cycles, which some people listening have, like, yeah, things go up a lot, things go down a little bit. Like, it's not great. At least here, you can sort of see why things have sort of melted down with all the fear and the Fed and just trend in general, right? I think we talked about forced selling last week, and
I think that now we look at that and it was clear capitulation. We could certainly grind down from here, retest whatever, but I do think that was proper capitulation. Very interestingly, like this current weekly on BTC perfectly tested the 2017 top on the bottom wick. And it's also the level where we spent a few weeks consolidating in November 2020 before this. I mean, the bull run kicked off before that, but before it like really exploded to the frothy bits. So we're kind of, I would almost say, barring exogenous macro events, this is the fair value of Bitcoin, right? Like over this past several years, this is kind of your fair value. No reason to be very particularly bullish or bearish one way or the other. It's like okay, let's figure out what's next.
The questions I continue to think about and get asked about are the correlation to legacy, my thoughts on legacy, and whether or not the Fed's going to keep destroying everything, or whether or not we're going to uncouple. Because I think those are the most important things. Like if we're just trading like the NASDAQ, then you got to pay attention to the legacy stuff. So as much as I think this is a fine technical bottom, right? We're at the 200, we're at the previous all-time high.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are still talking about 14K on BTC. People are still talking about 400 on ETH. And I don't have good like rebuttals to that because of what's happening.
It could totally happen.
Yeah. So like I want to say, yeah, like technically this looks great because it does. But then there's this other like angel devil situation on my shoulder that's like, well, what's JPOW gonna do?
Yeah. Well, it's not an unreasonable thing. I think that we've priced in that it's all going to happen. It's all going to happen immediately. And I think one thing that could be painful for some, if they're trying to seek some instant directionality, is that if it just takes a really long time, I mean, for instance, I think the S&P could stay between its lows and its prior high of it's probably like 5% in either direction from here. 7% to the upside, and let's say 6 to 8% on the downside. I think it could basically sit in that range for like a year. It hit the 2021 open. I could just imagine, something like that, and then, that's September 2023. That's a year. It's a year. That would be very painful for people. Like people are The market sentiment is like, like straight down. There's nothing else. Just go straight back to zero. Like go to the COVID lows. Do it over the course of like 2 months. And I don't think we're quite in that place in the economy. I do think we've had a lot of demand destruction, but we've also taken a lot of wealth out of the economy already, like out of stocks, out of valuations. I mean, just look at freaking growth stock multiples and stuff. They could still lose a lot more, but like they lost a tremendous amount. Even if you look at like the Amazons of the world, which are obviously it's still a growth stock, tech stock, whatever, but one of the most profitable companies in the entire world, and it just got crushed. And it's nothing compared to the degree that like actual growth stocks, like your Shopify's got hit.
I tagged you the other day on that. You saw that, I think, but
Yeah,
because when I hear Shopify, I think Brian Cogscott, because you talk about it all the time. But
it's an interesting metric for me because it's a successful company. They actually have great revenues, great brand presence, great penetration into a strong market. So like it is a growth stock. It's been priced to perfection at different times, but look at it now. Like, this is a definitively good company. I worked in this industry, and it lost 80% from the peak, despite like massive strength in its sector and whatnot.
Well, that goes back to the legacy question just generally. Do we need to retrace all of the COVID gains on everything before the blood gods, the bear gods are satisfied?
Yeah, I don't know that it needs to be on everything, but probably on a lot of things. And we've already done more than that on many.
That looks like a great falling wedge, by the way, on PayPal.
Yeah, I mean, this looks honestly. I mean,
look at that div.
I know it's hard. It's like it's very tempting
for those not watching the stream. What Brian just showed is a falling wedge, almost textbook, descending volume profile with a bullish div on the relative strength index.
On PayPal, which people can hate on PayPal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care what it is, right?
Yeah, like, between PayPal and Venmo and their point of sale system, they have a lot of business lines that make a lot of money. And it went down 77%, and now it's sitting on a weekly bull div and like back to prices not seen since 2018, and doesn't look bad.
Yeah, I mean, what more do you want, right? Like, what are you going to wait for 80%? Not investment advice, not financial advice, but
yeah. I mean, everything. The defining thing of the Nasdaq is everything is a shitcoin in 2022. But theoretically, you can price stocks in a smarter way than you can price crypto because of the actual business models and the lines of revenue and the profit potential and all these things. And you can start to see like how can these companies start to enter a buy zone, a proper.
And then there's GME and AMC.
Yeah, and like watch those outperform everything. I'm gonna log into my Coifin account actually because I just want to see what some of these numbers are on stocks because I'm truly interested in it. And like, I think some of the like if crypto is really really boring, how like everybody goes to like FX and stuff when crypto gets boring. There's a reason for that. I'm gonna put your screen up for a second while I share my new tab. But yeah, it's just I don't know. Curious.
Well, that's why like last week and the week before, all these legacy people are coming out of the woodwork dancing on our grave. It's like, guys, like your house is burning too. It's like this isn't an isolated incident. This is everything.
You're not doing anything cute here.
No. But what I will say about crypto and the low time frames, we have certainly plenty of technical evidence for inverted head and shoulders stuff, bottoming, reversal stuff. Matic already broke out of this. AVAX is in this group as well, where it looks like it's ready to go higher. So yeah, I like an interim bottom here for sure. I'll let you talk about stocks.
Yeah, I really hesitate on these like I don't know what you call it. what do you call that?
Don't Peter Brandt yourself and say that this is diagonal, not a horizontal. It's not real.
That's exactly.
Don't say it.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
I knew that's what you were gonna say.
Let's see if I can make the screen a little bigger because it's tough to read. But here's a PayPal Holdings, $89 billion market cap. What else do they have? Short interest, only 1.76%. So you'd rather see more shorts piling in. EV to sales, 3.1, 3.6, depending on which way you look at it. Price to book, 4.4. Like these are much lower numbers than they used to be. Whether you say like outright, do you end up with a screaming buy? I don't know. Let's see what their revenues and growth are.
A crypto site that has similar information is Token Terminal, which is really good. It's free. The numbers look, if you know anything about legacy numbers, the crypto PE ratios and whatever else look bananas because just generally crazy. But Token Terminal will break down crypto assets the same as a legacy view would. So it's useful from that perspective.
That's cool. I like Koifin. It shows some pretty interesting stuff to me. Yeah, so their gross profit margins are like 45%. Am I looking at this correctly? Yeah. That's pretty incredible.
But like I would never go this deep because like I only care about the chart. That's me personally. And I guess you would have to put me up head to head with a decent sample size against someone who's just looking at stuff like this.
Yeah. So their price to earnings peaked at 71x and is now back down to 24x. So all else being equal, divided the earnings ratios by 2/3. So inherently a better value. Whether it is the value that you seek, I don't know about that, but inherently like a much better place to seek growth returns now than before, obviously. Especially if the primary income is healthy, if their balance sheet is healthy. And a company like PayPal, honestly, nothing. I mean, I'm not digging in deeply here yet, but this is bear market content analyzing PayPal balance sheet. But there's nothing standing out here that just freaks me out. It's not like they're sitting on loads of debt. They're making a lot of money. Like this is a profitable company.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even need to go personally. I wouldn't need to go that deep. I know people who would feel more comfortable knowing that information and like helping them decide that stuff. And maybe that was one of the reasons why like crypto was so attractive to me versus legacy, because legacy had this like wall of information overload.
Yeah. Well, no, man. It doesn't look bad to me.
But I think it's no secret you want to buy low and sell high. And if things are down 80%, they certainly, if you like PayPal at 1,500, you're going to love it at 20.
Yeah, literally the meme. Price
Very
to
much the case.
Value 10x after it peaked at 30x in 2020. TLDR.
Sure.
Anyway.
But yeah, there are a lot of charts. I think the takeaway is there are a lot of legacy charts that look way worse than crypto charts even. I'm kind of surprised that some of these like mid-tier alts even bounced where they did. Things like AVAX or DOT or not Matic, but some of a few other ones. Like even looking back a year ago from today, like they're still up from their lows in like June, July 2021, which is interesting to me. I don't really know why that is, but
I don't know, man. I feel like we're lacking like general I don't know what do you call it, like common sense in markets. We're just YOLOing both ways.
The volatility just breeds like this casino mentality.
Yeah. panic buying no matter what to panic selling no matter what.
Yeah, that's largely dependent on the Fed's like stance in the hour, because that could change depending on who's talking, and it could change like the analysts' opinions in like BlackRock and in JPM and wherever else, and then that like trickles down to like media, and then it gets disseminated and like changes everybody's viewpoint. Yeah, that's why I just like charts, man, because you don't need to pay attention to any of that other nonsense.
Yeah. So one of the things that does make something like PayPal or some of those growth stocks hard is I'm looking at Exxon now, and all of it's like multiples and stuff. Obviously not a growth stock in the same way, but you look at the state of the oil market and their profitability is gargantuan, and all their multiples are like way lower. Like it's way more of a value still, even though it's like basically at record highs right now. I mean, these oil companies are really primed to make a ton of money. It's incredible.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I comment on that one way or the other. I think Matic was maybe the best performing coin over the past like week.
Matic, huh?
Yeah.
Have you been playing any of these altcoin bounces? I played a couple.
I mean, this is my 4th trade this year.
Wow.
On a personal account. It is hopefully the first profitable trade of the year.
I too have only made I've made 2 profitable trades, but the first one I netted on the other direction by more than the original profit, so it doesn't count. Matic, huh? Here, I'll pull it up since you aren't.
Sorry, my tab sharing isn't working correctly, but
Acting goofy.
But yeah, everything looks potentially breakoutish, like maybe we go into the weekend and it's not complete death for crypto.
What's amazing is this looks like a nothing burger, like kind of a maybe bearish retest or something, and it's up like 70% off the lows. Not that I don't, 92% wick to wick, but 75% if you got body to body on the daily lows. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's a huge bounce. But even looking at that, like the distance to the 200-day for a lot of these coins, regardless of how I feel about them, like that's a massive gap.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I could come down and meet that, but there's potential there. Not saying it's going to go to 150, but like if this could inverted head and shoulder out over like a month, yeah, I like it. Someone's asking about the Sol phone. I was like, didn't HTC do a blockchain phone like years ago? And they did, and they recently announced like a Web3 phone. I don't care. Like, I'm not going to be putting anything on my phone. Like, do you care about a Sol phone?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I will say, so for Flip, we, have mobile apps, and I'm not sure if it's as bad for Android, but for iOS, we cannot even link to an NFT exchange from the app. Like not even link to the website, much less enable buying and selling. So I think the degree of monopoly that iOS has over their platform through the App Store is kind of insane, because they force the 30% or whatever, no matter what. So any income earned, they need 30% of it. Well, therefore, it makes it really, really hard to actually do anything from those apps. And I just think it'd be nice to see something challenge that. If the Sol phone's what does it, then that's great. Your Matic trade, I raise you a Wi-Fi trade, except for I sold it too early today. After I sold it, it kept going.
I don't understand. Speaking of the guy who's talking about fundamentals versus technicals, I don't understand why that thing exists, other than just some trading sardines for people who are familiar with that story.
I like trading sardines.
It has no purpose. It serves no purpose. And the trade looks good. Like if you didn't tell me what that was and said it was an inverted head and shoulder breakout, I'd say, yeah, sure.
Yeah. I didn't even play that. I played it from like back here, where it was kind of looks like Matic does now. We're going to get back to the prior level and then do something.
It's weird to me that the alts are breaking out first, but I guess if they have a thinner book, it's easier to maybe break them out quicker. But yeah, all these charts, like you can't deny, even if you're a diagonal line hater or a diagonal line enjoyer like myself, you can't deny the strength in some of these charts.
Yeah, I don't love that it's alts first, to be honest, in terms of the broader strength.
I agree.
That said, I don't think there's any real reason to get terribly bearish on ETH until 1500 to 1700, Bitcoin to 27, 28K. Very realistic targets in my mind. I think it's just a matter of, do you get some kind of like droopy retest into the weekend and then it does it next week or the week after? You know what I mean? Like, depends on how tight you're trying to manage your trades. I closed most of my long stuff today. Not because I'm bearish, just because it's not obvious to me at the moment. But I don't know. I could have closed way too early.
Can you pull up the DeFi chart denominated in ETH?
Yep, I got that.
That's probably worth checking out. I noticed TradingView added a bunch of indices. So I encourage people to mess around with those. They added, I think they added Coinmetrics indices. They added Fundstrat, of all people. They added their indices. Just like a different way to look at broad, because there's more stuff now. There's going to be continuously more and more crypto stuff. I think it's important to like just get a general view on certain sectors, DeFi, other stuff.
There's a total DeFi by.
Yeah, that one I saw today too. That one was new.
Yeah.
If you just go to the indices tab and just type in crypto, you can scroll down and see all those. They may have already been there. I just hadn't seen them before. There's a ton of them.
Neat.
Yeah. So how does a DeFi ETH chart look?
Yeah. So this is just the DeFi perp. So it's whatever in FTX's basket consists of, which is fine because we've looked at this a bunch. You can see our various lines where we're like, well, if it recaptures that, then go to the next one. So maybe it's doing that now. Like maybe this is the, 8 weeks of capitulation here that is getting impulse bought up, and then you have a little potential for a run.
I just don't see why ETH would underperform DeFi here.
I think the biggest reason is just DeFi's had a longer bear market than anything else. So now that the baseline is cheap, you can run up DeFi a bit without making like the market caps look crazy or anything like that. So if ETH doesn't move too fast, then DeFi can catch up on a relative basis. You can stack Gwei, But I don't think I agree with you from the long-term sense. Like any DeFi trade, I would be looking on an ETH relative basis and then just trying to stack ETH and then hope ETH goes back to 2 or 3K or something like that inside this bear market and make your chips that way.
Yeah, but even then, still, like that chart looks decently, like it's been down only since inception, right? Really.
Yeah. I think what I would seek on this is back to the 20-week and then up to the next line of resistance. So let's see, what would that percentage be? From there to there, you get another 35%. But that's one of the big things here, right? Like we're not talking about how am I going to pull a 10X. I would love to pull a 10X. I don't know that we're in that market. I feel like we're in 20% feels good type of market. And then you got to be careful because one bad day is 20% too, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's a good time for people to just scan stuff broadly if you've been kind of sitting back. Again, not encouraging you to buy anything, not financial advice. Just, have some parameters, take a look. I think broadly, depending on what you like, whether it's legacy or crypto, I may even looking at comp, their token is far below the November 2020 lows.
I was staring at comp at $31, and I bought AAVE instead. And
Like the
AAVE's
use case for comp and most of these DeFi tokens is so narrow and so small, but at least there's maybe something there. Like Wi-Fi to me is just complete garbage. That's like the opposite end of the spectrum.
I like putting these tokens in linear because you see how wrecked they are.
But yeah, I mean, it's been down.
These could start and go to 100, like go more than 2x,
It was down 96%, 97% from the top.
97.
So, if you believe in comp, which I don't necessarily believe in comp, but that's just an example.
Yeah. I think comp will struggle at like 50-ish if the market continues here. But I think if you are patient enough and we don't go turbo nuclear down mode again, $100 comp is not out of the question. At the lows, when it was $30, it was a FDV of 300 million. I think they have a round number total supply.
Yeah, that's another thing with these DeFi tokens, these 2020 people. You got to watch out for the emission schedule and the vesting.
But they're not that bad. They've already done all that. Like they did it for 2 years.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm just telling people.
Like
something that I'm concerned with personally is tokens that are still have this high emission schedule, like Sushi. I don't know if it does or not, but Sushi, Uniswap.
Freaking Wi-Fi with FDV was like $150 million or something when I bought it.
Yeah, but we need to stop talking about Wi-Fi.
Just act like they're all the same. Who cares? Let them figure out their tokenomics.
Because fundamentals tell you what to buy. Technicals tell you when to buy. Fundamentals have to be existent for me to even care.
OG DeFi is literally the only thing you need to know if you're going to play this bounce.
Whatever. I'm on the record as being extremely anti-Wi-Fi. So
okay.
So history will have me on the right side of that. I'm pretty sure.
That's fine. I closed my trade too early today. I like AAVE a lot. I think AAVE is kind of my stand-in for what I'd rather buy whenever I'm making this trade. Not solely, but I kind of like where it sits in the market. I think it could get back to like 115-ish. Again, I took mine off, so I'll be coping if it does it soon. Just because, I don't know, I feel like some of these bounces that we've had so far have been pretty nice for the bottom buyers, and you'll see the easy profit taking start to occur.
Even Curve, like if you want something with a fundamental use case that actually is like seeing volume during a bear market, Curve has been like the center of the show for all that stuff. The token's at lows, right?
It's not at lows. It went sub 50 cents some places, 54 cents. It's at 82.
But my point is, like, look at Wi-Fi. Like, I love the product side of Wi-Fi. The token makes 0 sense, shouldn't exist. If you look at Curve, the product fits the market. The token, I think, makes sense.
Yeah.
So there, I can see a use case for this. Right?
Trust me, I like Curve a lot, and I think it's actually one of the best fundamental products in crypto by far. I think stable swaps and tight liquidity swaps are extremely valuable for on-chain stuff. Curve is used by all the aggregators. It's a highly useful product for like switching from one stable to another, or from like BTC to ETH, that kind of stuff.
Well, that's the other thing. As we go multi-chain, sharding, layer 2, blah, blah, blah. Are we going to have a Curve on every single chain? Probably not. We'll have competitors, I think, but I think their first mover advantage and their ability to go multi-chain, which we're already seeing.
You're pumping my layer 0 bags now.
I'm just saying, like, are we going to live in a world where there's a Curve on like Avalanche and Polkadot and whoever else, right? Like, I don't think that's the world we're going to live in, but I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Oh, we missed some news. Somebody just mentioned it in the chat. Did we talk about Harmony yet?
I see news like that, and I just think, okay, right? Like,
just
of
another,
course,
man.
it's just another 100 million that bridge that got hacked or whatever. Like,
Whatever.
I just feel it's like I'm a duck and it's water on my back, but that's how much I care about it. Like, of course, these are move fast, break things like spaghetti code in some cases that haven't been fully battle tested yet. So yeah, what are you gonna do?
Plan. ETH sitting here right underneath the 200 week. If it reclaims this and reclaims the prior all-time highs, does that interest you for higher upside?
Well, is this what is this? The 12th week in a row? It could be red.
Well, it's green this week.
I know, but I'm saying, like, is this going to break the streak?
Oh yeah. I think it does break the streak this week. I think ETH will close the week right where it is right now, and then next week you determine, you're gonna blast below this 200 week or you're gonna hold it. Was it 12? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 11 in a row. Pretty brutal.
That's worse than the ICO unwinding treasury days. ICO treasury unwinding days. It's just insane. So much leverage unwinding there.
Yeah, I can imagine something like this: 15, 1600 retest, and then go back to like 2K, 23, 24, something like that.
Do you think, in the grand scheme of things, the liquid staking derivative was better or worse for ETH price wise?
On the way up, I think it was overall better, and I think in terms of a mechanism, it was fairly useful and effective because it put real money at stake on the merge side of things, like people willing to make that bet. I don't know. I don't have any problem with it, I guess.
Because I look at that and I think, oh, all these people are staking ETH because they believe in ETH. And then I'm like, well, are they doing that, or are they just doing that so they can get yield on yield on yield with their staked ETH,
The yield wasn't that good. Like there was lots of better yield, farmable yield and stuff in the ETH ecosystem than staked ETH. I think the vast majority of people like throwing stuff in staked ETH were in it for the tech. Or had so much money and needed the massive liquidity or whatever that they did other games with it. But yeah,
that's fair. I just feel like it was just a massive catastrophe for liquidity when people needed who needed to get out thought they would get out and didn't, and it just like created more and more panic, right?
But that's the user's problem. It's not like a protocol problem, in my opinion.
Yeah, but that's like saying DeFi, none of this stuff happens in DeFi. This is all CeFi, right? And I'm like, well, DeFi gave you the rope to hang yourself with. So who are we really going to blame here?
I think if you look at it, the DeFi lenders are winners. Like their stuff, maybe seeing all the public, like, here's where this person gets liquidated, let's go get them. Obviously, there's potential for that. But AAVE, Compound, Maker worked exactly as expected.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I applaud them for that, for sure.
BlockFi, massive trouble. Celsius, bankruptcy. Whatever that other one was, bankruptcy. Babel.
Yeah. But they couldn't fudge their numbers as much if they didn't see the yield opportunities in DeFi.
Well, those lenders were trying to say like, oh yeah, here's our marketing, here 6%, and then they had to figure out how to get that 6%. Where in DeFi, it's dynamic. It's like set by the market. Here's the rate. Here's what borrowers are willing to borrow at. Here's what lenders are willing to lend at. You make a market, and off the market goes. If liquidation occurs, then you get liquidated. That's just how the game is played. And I think this showed that public, transparent lending markets are superior. Now, I don't know that like every bit of loan health it's great for that to be super public, but you can always determine some of that. So I think it's a fine sacrifice for what ended up being a better product.
I've seen a lot of DeFi slander too, which is interesting because they rarely mention ETH. They usually mention Terra or Solana.
Yeah, but it's like, okay. I don't know.
Is that my beeping or you?
I think it's on your end. I think your house is burning.
Okay. Now it's just interesting. We've gone from like Bitcoin killers to ETH killers to like DeFi killers, and it's like the stream of things that people decide to attack for being weak or new or special or not.
But we're like criticizing DeFi because of freaking Terra Luna. You know, that's ridiculous.
I agree. It's ridiculous. People
Why?
either purposefully obfuscating the truth or they're not informed, right? But
yeah. I saw
DeFi as a whole still needs to answer for what happened with Terra, right? Like you still need to have that conversation with people because people who don't know any better will just assume everything is the same, you know?
Yeah, I've seen boomers calling for, you know, like Tether's imminent destruction and pointing at Terra as like, this is what could happen to them. And it's like, look at these redemptions that they've had. And it's like, yeah, and now go look at the price of freaking Tether. Look at that. It's still $1. It's working perfectly. The redemptions are operating normally. People can actually tell you they've redeemed billions and billions and billions of dollars in Tether. And yes, there are fewer Tethers because people are redeeming them and it's working. So now where is my collapsing Ponzi? Point at it. It's ridiculous. I feel like Tether's actually been operating extremely well. And the doom and gloom of it that people are calling for because of Terra Luna. It's like, did you look at any of this? Did you?
Well, I like that there's competitors now. That includes decentralized DeFi competitors to stablecoins, because Tether is more incentivized now if they're seeing shrinking balance sheet to get their stuff together and become more transparent. Like before, it was just this is all we got, right? We didn't have USDC, we didn't have DAI, we didn't have everything else.
It's very good. And honestly, I think still, like, I would personally put my net worth in USDC before anything else. USDC is also a significant backbone to DAI, Frax, you know, all the ones that are trying to do like crypto collateral. I trust USDC more than I trust Tether. But that doesn't mean I don't trust Tether. You know what I mean? It's just like, which one would I hold dollars in and feel safe in them for like 3 years? And for me personally, USDC is easily the cleanest in that regard.
I agree. I think we have to leave it there for today.
Yep. Thanks for joining us, everybody. It's been a pleasure. No after show, but we appreciate you. Hope you have a great one. Have a nice summer. Go to touch some grass, water, whatever the meme is of the day. See you later.
Monuments crumble in the blink of an eye. The easy river has just run dry. In a house of cards, I feel the breeze wound so tight I can barely breathe. Oh, the chains, oh, the chains.